By far the most optimal and proven way to climb the fastest in League of Legends is to limit your champion pool or simply one-trick a champion. By one-tricking a champion, you will eventually reach a point where you can stop thinking about how you should combo or how you need to play lane in specific matchups and instead focus on your macro play that really improves your game. For this reason, we will be covering 3 champions for every single role that are the best one-trick for Season 13. A few pieces of criteria we use to choose the champions are as follows. Number 1 is that all champions had to have ban rates lower than 20%. Although someone like Zed can be extremely potent when mastered, his ban rate is around 50% right now, so it's just not practical to one-trick him at the moment. We also took into account the difference in win rate between one-trick players and average players for each champion. A big gap between these win rates is a good indication of a perfect one-trick champion. And combined with this statistical analysis, we were also looking for champions who are strong in the current solo queue meta. And if you didn't know, the preseason is arguably the best time to get way better at League of Legends. The reason is because when you focus on improving your own skills instead of just doing whatever it takes to scrape a win, you do tend to lose a little more in the short term in exchange for huge gains in the long term. So if you're thinking of mastering your macro skills and not joining every team fight, but instead trying to learn how to become a split-pushing god, or if you're looking to learn a new role or bootcamp your mechanics, then enroll to our world-class courses as we teach every fundamental you could ever need with the world's largest premium library for League of Legends. And better yet, if you join Skillcapped for the long haul, then for just $6.99 a month, you can get a 1-year membership to Skillcapped. And if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using Skillcapped, you can claim a full refund, so there's no risk. This subscription also grants you access to WoW Dragonflight, Valorant, and Wrath of the Lich King. So check us out right after this, link in the description below. And with that said, let's move on to today's guide. The most recent addition to League of Legends is a phenomenal champion for you to one-trick, being K'Sante. K'Sante checks off all of our boxes from the criteria with a ban rate of 17% and an insanely large gap between the win rate of an average K'Sante player and someone who one-tricks him. One-trick K'Sante players are winning around 9% more than inexperienced K'Sante players, which is one of the biggest gaps in the game right now. Of course, a lot of this is due to K'Sante being new and players getting used to him, but at the same time, he is not an easy champion to pick up by any means. Our challenger top laner Strumpist has been loving the K'Sante pick and has a couple full game commentaries on our website for you guys to learn the champ. Matchup wise for K'Sante, Fiora is one of the more difficult ones right now, so she's our recommended ban option. Sample core build is a Jock Show or Iceborne Rush into Sunfire Aegis 2nd and Gargoyle Stoneplate 3rd. Grasp and Conquer are both viable keystone options for K'Sante. Grasp works best in more difficult lanes against other melee champions, whereas Conquer is optimal in ranged matchups or in super easy melee lanes. With the return of Crit Plank for Season 13, GP is in an extremely powerful spot to be one-tricked. The dopamine rush from hitting a multi-man barrel that takes 70% of the enemy's health bars is something very few champions can replicate. It's easier said than done though, but at the same time makes Gangplank a very rewarding champion to put time into. Gangplank's ban rate is about 8%, and one-trick GPs are winning 7% more than inexperienced Gangplank players, which indicates the potential of the champ. In regards to Gangplank's meta matchups, Mundo is the one champ he is struggling pretty heavily against, so we would advise on banning him out. Core build for GP is an Essence Reaver Rush into Navori Quickblade 2nd and Gale Force or Prowler's Claw 3rd. With Crit Plank, you will want to be running First Strike as the keystone so that you can accelerate into that deadly mid-game spike as quick as possible. One of the most one-trick champions in the entire game, and in a great spot to be one-tricked for Season 13, is Riven. Ban rate is only 1%, which is exactly what you want in a good one-trick champ. The reward for mastering Riven is also insanely high, as one-trick Riven players are winning 7% more than average Rivens. Riven is one of those champions to where if played to her limits can snowball harder than any other top laner. With all the intricate combos and animation cancels Riven can pull off, the potential of the champion is super high, but it's going to take a while to get there. Renekton is also a really good ban for Riven, as his W Shieldbreaker mechanic nullifies a lot of Riven's trading power. The build for Riven is a Ravenous Hydra Rush into Gore Drinker 2nd and Spear of Shojin 3rd. Conquer is the keystone combined with Sorcery for secondaries, running Nimbus Cloak and Transcendence. Evelynn has re-emerged into the jungle meta in a big way for Season 13 and is our first one-trick recommendation for jungle. Evelyn's ban rate is about 10%, while one-tricks are winning 6% more than average Evelynn players. Eve is definitely not the most mechanically demanding champion, so why do one-tricks win so much more? It's largely due in part to the macro that goes into playing an optimal Evelynn, as she is such a unique champ with her stealth. Clearing efficiently so you can hit your level 6 as soon as possible is very important to winning with Eve. Knowing when to flank and being able to pull them off successfully is so vital for Eve, as she's not a champion you can just run right at the enemy and win with. Since Evelynn wants to full clear, it's a good idea to ban out a snowbally early game jungler like Udyr or Elise. Core build for Evelynn is a Rocket Belt Rush into Rabadon 2nd and Void Staff 3rd. Electrocute and First Strike are both viable keystones for Eve. First Strike is pretty underrated as it helps Eve hit her Rabadon spike way more reliably. There's really no better jungler to one-trick for Season 13 than Elise. Elise has a ban rate of 8%, while one-tricks win 5% more than inexperienced Elise players. Few junglers can match Elise when it comes down to snowballing early game leads. With Elise's repel mechanic, she can pull off dive plays at level 3 better than any jungler in the game. For example, if your top laner chunks the enemy and they're sitting at 50% health under tower, Elise can stroll right on in and pick up first blood. Mastering early game dive plays on Elise will take a while, but is so rewarding once you can pull it off. Zac is one jungler Elise players are struggling against right now, so he's a solid ban option. Build for Elise is a Night Harvester Rush into Shadow Flame 2nd and Zhonya's 3rd. Electrocute and Dark Harvest are viable keystones for Elise. Electro is going to offer more early game power, while Dark Harvest scales better into mid-game skirmishes. To round out the jungle top 3, it's going to be Echo. Echo is a champion who comes online extremely hard with 2 items, so now that full clearing is more efficient for Season 13, Echo has been a great pick in meta. Ban rate for Echo is just under 10%, while one-trick players win 7% more than average Echoes. One thing you'll notice one-trick Echoes prioritize way more is a Nashor's 2nd instead of Lichbane. 30% of one-trick Echoes build Nashor's 2nd, while it's only purchased 17% of the time by inexperienced Echoes. Nashor's actually deals more damage than Lichbane as long as you auto-attack once in your full combo. Especially in games where the enemy team lacks squishy champs, Nashor's is going to be way more valuable. Silas or Kindred are 2 of the best ban options for Echo right now. As for the rune page, grab First Strike along with Domination for secondaries, running Eyeball Collection and Treasure Hunter. Kicking things off for the mid lane top 3 is going to be Syndra. Syndra has a pretty low ban rate now at around 6%. Of all mid laners, Syndra has one of the highest gaps between the one-trick and average player win rate being 9%. Most players don't realize the skill expression that goes into playing an optimal Syndra due to her ultimate being a point-and-click spell. You can definitely win games on Syndra simply by pressing R, but being able to pilot the rest of her kit to its potential is not an easy task. Syndra has a more difficult time playing into highly mobile assassins, so with Kassadin being as strong as he is, look to ban him out. Build for Syndra is a Luden's Rush into Shadow Flame 2nd and Rabadon's or Zhonya's 3rd. Roll with First Strike as the keystone, and grab Sorcery for secondaries with Mana Flow and Transcendence. The best AD mid laner for solo queue, and in an absolutely perfect spot to one-trick, is Uxin. Uxin is a very low ban rate of only 4%, while one-trick Uxins are winning 5% more than the average Uxin. Uxin's E is such a unique spell and can be used in so many different ways. It's not something you can pick up right away and be proficient on, but if you do put in the time, the spell can be one of the best basic abilities for solo queue. What makes Uxin even more rewarding to play for Season 13 is his ability to hard counter meta highly picked mids. Kassadin back in meta along with Yone and Akali being played a ton is amazing for Uxin. The only top 10 play rate mid that Uxin loses to is Yasuo, so just look to ban him out. There are so many viable builds for Uxin, but you can't go wrong with the 2-item core of Kraken Slayer and Blade of the Ruined King. Press the Attack is the best keystone in easier melee lanes, while Fleet Footwork works best into more difficult ranged matchups. Irelia has made a great comeback as a mid laner for Season 13 and is our 3rd one-trick mid. Irelia just made the cut for this video with a ban rate of 18%. The win rate gap between an average Irelia and a one-trick Irelia player is 5%. The early game kill power that Aurelia's kit provides makes her so deadly if you can learn her limits. Being able to reset Q on low health minions gives Aurelia the sneaky long engage range that many players disrespect, so if you can punish mispositioning and land E consistently, the solo kills will be of plenty. Vex is one meta matchup most Aurelia players are losing against, so she's a good ban option. Blade Rush into Wit's End 2nd and Jaksho 3rd is the standard core build for Aurelia. Conqueror will be the keystone, and you'll run Inspiration for secondaries with Biscuits and Cosmic Insight. Once one of the worst champions just a few patches ago, Zeri is back in a really strong spot and a great ADC to one-trick. Zeri's ban rate is actually quite low at the moment, sitting around 4%. The Zeri players who put the time into the champion are winning about 7% more than newer Zeri players. The way Zeri plays is so different from the majority of ADCs, as her Q spam is a very unique element that takes time to get used to. Spacing properly and being able to adjust to Zeri's ramping movement speed is something that takes a while to get a feel for as well. These aspects of Zeri's kit are what gives the champion so much potential though, as her ability to dish out consistent DPS while staying hyper mobile is so strong if piloted correctly. Zeri players are running into issues against Tristana and Draven, so using your ban on one of them is a good idea. Shield Bow into Phantom Dancer and Infinity Edge is the standard Zeri build, however Ravenous with Hurricane is another really strong build too. Run Lethal Tempo as the keystone and pick up Taste of Blood and Treasure Hunter for secondaries. Despite her excellent power level for the current meta, Kai'Sa's ban rate is only 5%, which makes her a great fit for our ADC top 3. Kai'Sa one-tricks are winning 8% more than average Kai'Sa players. The fact Kai'Sa is also one of the most OP ADCs in the game right now makes her a no-brainer to one-trick. Kai'Sa isn't too mechanically demanding, so what are some factors that lead to one-tricks winning so much more? Proper ultimate usage is a big one. New Kai'Sa players will more often than not inflict more bad than good from using R. It is an incredibly strong tool if used properly, but it's also a massive int tool if used poorly. Kai'Sa struggles more against potent early game ADCs, so Samira or Draven are good ban choices. Build is a Kraken Slayer Rush into Phantom Dancer 2nd and Navori Quickblades 3rd. You can also run Blade of the Ruined King into tankier comps. Keystone Rune is lethal tempo, and you should be running free boots with biscuits for secondaries. An ADC who's been a staple on top of the tier list for months now, and a great one-trick choice is Twitch. Ban rate for Twitch is hovering around 9%, while one-trick Twitch players win 6% more than the inexperienced Twitch. Compared to most other ADCs, Twitch is not all that mechanically intensive. It's how you play around stealth and knowing when to spray the enemy down with ultimate that differentiates good and bad Twitches. It always feels like the Twitch on your team dies as soon as he pops out of stealth, while the enemy Twitch strategically waits for key cooldowns to be down and cleans up fights incredibly well. Mastering Twitch is really rewarding because his ability to find picks from stealth is something no other ADCs can do. Banning out a strong laning ADC like Draven will help you out when playing Twitch. You have a few different options for builds, as AD and AP are both viable setups for the current meta. When playing AD Twitch, run Lethal Tempo as the keystone. However, if you are going the AP route, then side with Hail of Blades. Recently buffed and one of the best supports to one-trick for Season 13 is Lux. Lux is only being banned in 4% of games, while Lux one-tricks win 8% more than average Lux players. Being a champion who is extremely skill shot reliant, Lux can either be one of the most impactful or least impactful supports depending on the player's skill level. This makes Lux very rewarding to one-trick, as her ability to pick off targets from range is so powerful for solo queue. Since you build Lux support full AP, you're basically like this long-ranged assassin, as her full combo can easily one-shot squishies. Considering Caitlyn is very popular at the moment, it gives Lux even more power, as the duo synergy is completely nuts. Lux is very vulnerable herself, so banning a hook support like Blitz is always a good idea. For runes, it's Comet as the keystone, and you should run Domination for secondaries with Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter. Although Maokai may not have nearly as much skill expression as other champs in this video, one-tricking him is still super worthwhile due to his current power level. Ban rate is under 1%, so you never have to worry about not being able to play Mao. One-trick win rate is pretty insane too, being 8% higher than the average Maokai. You have the luxury of playing Mao as an AP carry or as a tank, so he's super versatile, giving him even more one-trick value. Tank core is Deadman's with Even Shroud, while Imperial Mandate into Demonic Embrace is what you prioritize for AP Maokai. Morgana is one of the better bans for Maokai, as her Black Shield limits what you can do on the pick. For runes, roll with Aftershock when playing the tank build. However, if you're going the AP route, then pick up Comet instead. One champion you can almost never go wrong with one-tricking, and the final pick for today's video is Thresh. Once upon a time, Thresh was the most banned support in the game, but he's currently only banned 2% of the time. The accessibility of Thresh has never been higher, which makes it a great time to one-trick him. On top of this, Thresh checks off our second piece of criteria, with a win rate gap of over 6% between average and one-trick Thresh players. Not only is Thresh mechanically intensive, but the decision-making that goes into playing an optimal Thresh is also difficult to grasp. Thresh is way less linear than your average support champion, so it takes a ton of games to maximize his potential. Morgana is always a good ban for Thresh due to her Black Shield nullifying hook power. Standard Thresh build is a Locket Rush into Zeke 2nd and Wardstone 3rd. Glacial is the keystone rune, followed by Resolve for secondaries with Bone Plating and Unflinching. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about Skillcapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. So that's going to wrap it all up for our best champions to one-trick for Season 13. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you all in the next one.